part of the day and why?
I think this is the first thing that comes to mind is my drive home, just clearing my head.
I like it.
And thinking about getting to see my family and what I'm going to do with my daughter when I see her.
I love it. How old's your daughter?
2.5. Almost 3, actually.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. It's a fun age. All right. We got to take the straw back. There we go.
I'm her husband, Don. I guess I have a million hobbies.
Nice.
And I just go through phases and phases. And right now I'm between handguns and old cars.
Oh, cool.
But,
And did you pick a straw?
I did. I'm number 1.
Number one is, what is one tradition you had growing up that you'd want to pass on to the next generation? What is one tradition you had growing up? It can be silly, it can be spiritual.
Oh my goodness. You had to ask something about my childhood. I have a terrible memory. Tradition growing up. It's so hard because we have 3 traditions in my family. Yep. Well, we don't do it much anymore. My brothers and I would have a football game during Thanksgiving, but I guess we could pass that on. That's a difficult question for me.
You
I
can
don't
ignore
remember
the
anything.
passing it on if you want.
Well,
if it doesn't fit into your world, that works. That's why I said next generation, because not everybody's got kids here.
yes, true.
All right, you want to go ahead?
All right, I'm Dominic. Something interesting about me is I have my black belt in karate.
Oh.
No mess. And I have number 3.
Number 3. Oh, we got new ones going on. Who influenced you growing up and how?
I was very close to my dad's mom, my grandmom. She lived right across the street from us growing up, so I spent every Friday night there until I was like way older than socially acceptable. Probably like 14 or 15. My grandma was super close to me and was a good example of just loving us really well. So
Very cool.
very, very influential.
Very cool. Thanks for that. All right, Dawn.
Okay, so my name's Dawn, and something interesting. I don't know. I like all things like really nerdy, sciencey. And my number's 4.
Number 4. So you have the what is your favorite part of the day and why?
My favorite part of the day.
You know what? Come on. When I come home from
I knew you would.
Come on.
When it comes into work or anytime we get to eat. Probably. I like to eat.
I like it. All right. So go ahead.
I'm Miguel, and something interesting about me is that I like to play and watch soccer, and I like gardening too.
You like what?
Gardening.
Gardening. Oh, cool. Very cool.
And I have number 2.
Okay, number 2. Number 2 is what would you say is one characteristic of a perfect parent or caregiver? Mental note, there is no perfect parent. They don't exist. But what would you say is something that you saw that and you're like, oh my goodness, that is a characteristic of a perfect parent? Someone who doesn't let their kid do this?
I would say be patient, loving, and
Cool. No, I like it. That's awesome. Thanks.
My name is Lisa, and one interesting thing about me is that I wasn't planned and I came out on my sister's birthday, on my sister's 2nd birthday.
Oh.
I wasn't planned at all. They say it wasn't planned.
That is interesting. What number did you get?
Number 3.
Number 3. 3 is who influenced you growing up and how?
I have to pick one person. I would say it's my grandma, her mom. And she taught me how to read, and we used to do Bible studies together. So
Very cool.
I have very fond memories of her.
Awesome. Awesome. All right.
Okay, my name is Maria. Maria Hortensia. I love Hortensia.
I like it.
And I am the mother for Isa. And interest from me is I love the music, and I am sing everywhere with it's automatic. when I clean the house, clean everything, I was seeing.
I love it.
And the people, oh. I have number 4.
All right, number 4. Number 4 is, what is your favorite part of the day and why? Favorite part of the day.
Right now, the morning time, because right now I would have discipline with my Bible study and have a great time for pray for my family or
Intercession.
for
nice.
for others.
Awesome.
Nice. Muchas gracias. Me hablo muy poco español, lo siento. That's all I got right there. All right, Abby, go ahead.
I'm Abby.
Yeah, I already
You stole my answer.
You can say it again.
Something interesting about me. I was not planned. My mom had her tubes tied, and 7 years later.
Wow.
So that's interesting. And I have number 1.
Number 1, what is one tradition you had growing up that you'd want to pass on to the next generation?
I come from a big Italian family. We have lots of traditions. But probably my favorite, my entire extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, we get together at Christmas and we have a gingerbread house contest. The last 3 or 4 years we put it on Facebook and everyone votes. That's my favorite. It's just like to see the generations. It's just a beautiful thing. It's my favorite.
I think the one I voted for won, actually.
That was mine.
Jesse.
Me and Lisa.
I love it. All right.
Alright, my name's Kelsey. Something interesting is my husband and I are certified scuba divers.
Oh, sweet.
So, and I got number 4.
Number 4, what is your favorite part of the day and why?
I have 2.
Sure.
Okay. Well, one is my daughter's just started sitting up in her crib, so when I go in there in the morning and she like freaks out, like throws her body around. But my second is when my husband comes home at night and she like screams because she's just so excited. So I just love seeing how happy she gets when we walk in her room.
I love it. I love it. That's so fun. Thank you. All right.
My name is Cindy. Something interesting about me, there's a lot of things, but this is number 4, and I have 2 stepkids, so we have a busy house, and I have number 2.
Number 2, what would you say is one characteristic of a quote-unquote perfect parent or caregiver, even though there is no such thing?
Loving. Yeah, I would have to go with like loving and just somebody who's there all the time. Definitely there for their kids.
That's very cool. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys, being willing to talk. I know it's not like super easy for everybody all the time. But in here, we want to kind of get an idea of the fact that life does not always go perfectly, whether you have young kids or whether you are hoping for young kids or whether you've had kids in the past and you're a grandparent now. Sometimes we need each other. Things don't go the way we want it to go. So that's something to keep in mind because we're going to give a couple of tools and it sometimes can seem overwhelming. And the idea is just consistency, just run with it. And if it blows up in your face, then crack up and try again is kind of the goal that we have for you. So.
All right, so we are in milestone 1, and you'll probably be hearing a lot about milestones, and it's just something that the church has put together based on a book called The Legacy Path, and so it breaks things down into 8 different milestones. So we're in the first one, which is forming a home, and the celebration for that is baby dedication. And then the next milestone is coming under authority, which deals a lot with children in 2 to 5 years of age. Then faith commitment is milestone 3, approximately 6 to 10 years. And the age ranges really aren't, set in stone at all. Like they can definitely range depending on what you're dealing with your child at home, and where just feel it would be nice to learn more about. Milestone 5 is commitment to purity. Milestone 6 is a life-changing identification with Christ. Milestone 7 is passage to adulthood. And milestone 8, preparing to leave home. So they've kind of just broken down different steps for children to learn. And so if this is your first year, second year, this is our 5th year now here, there's always something new to learn. There's always another milestone that you can kind of learn from and apply to different people you have influence with.
We go to the same one a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah, we went to milestone 2, 3 times, I think. It's just helpful. So, and with different people teaching it, or sometimes just different years with different focuses, so you get to learn new things each time. But this milestone is kind of unique, and it's unique because it's not about children; it's about you. It's not really about what you can do, to change, or what they can do in their lives. It's not about them coming under authority or them having faith. It's about you guys and forming that home. And whether that home looks like parents, grandparents, being an aunt and uncle, or whatever it might be, as he was talking, with the ladder, you have your parents, you have extended family, you have other adults. I know. I was so upset. I'm listening to him. I'm like, that's my entire little thing I was going to talk about.
We're trying to take this a little bit. Well, check it out.
But that's you guys, and so that's what this milestone is about. Is if you guys set yourselves up first for children that you have an influence with, then you can have even a greater impact in their lives. So we gave you guys a handout that has everything for this milestone that we can think of. The back of the baby dedication covenant has the information about baby dedication. And then the rest of the notes are all stapled together there. And then there's a resource page as well that has a lot of different books that we've read and that other people have read, and we all feel kind of work toward, kind of encouraging you in this milestone.
Especially the book Legacy Path, that specifically talks about milestones. Mm-hmm. That one's kind of what the whole Parent Summit is kind of based off of. We tweaked it, but...
Yep. All right, so what does it mean to be a primary faith nurturer? So, your child, it can go to the best church, like ours, or they could, have awesome friends. They could be part of a youth group. They can have all these different things. But as he was talking about, no one is going to have as great of an influence on them as their parents and as their extended family. That is going to be the biggest influence in their lives. And if they see you guys, they learn from you. So that means if you're reading the Bible in the morning, they're going to see that and they're going to learn. In the morning, the first thing I do is have time with God. If they see you guys praying, they're going to know, in this situation I pray, or at this time I pray. They're going to learn that type of thing. But it also means if they don't see you reading the Bible, they're not going to think that it's important. And if they don't see you praying, or if they don't see you talking with God, they're not going to think that that's an important thing that they should be learning about. So it has such a great impact based on what they see you doing and what they hear you talking about. Sunday school is a great thing, and it's an awesome thing that the church provides, but it's a supplement. Before the 1800s, they didn't have Sunday school. You went to church, you sat in a service. That was it. Children sat with their parents. They learned with their parents. Their parents kind of, whatever the preacher was talking about, their parents would then talk to them about. And when Sunday school was started, it wasn't even meant to be a supplement. It was meant to teach them literacy. It's an awesome resource that we have today, but it is not a replacement. If you sent your child to school once a week, you would not expect them to come home and be able to do algebra. It would not happen. So, just sending them to Sunday school is not a replacement for you spending every day with them, teaching them more about God. Deuteronomy 6, 4-9. I was glad he kind of skipped over these verses. He mentioned them. But he left us something. So Deuteronomy 6, 4-9 says, "Hear, O Israel." Okay, that's what he's talking about. Hear, O Israel. So imagine he's talking to us. Hear, O parents, hear, O grandparents, hear, people who believe in me. The Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be like frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. You know, God gave Moses these commands to speak to the people of Israel when they took the Promised Land. That was in 1400 BC. It was a long time ago. And his design from then through now and continuing is that you guys will be the primary faith nurturers. So that's what we want to kind of encourage you to be. So home is a training place. When your kids are at home, when you are at home, that's a training place. When you're in the car with your kids driving somewhere, that's a training place. Anytime you're with your kids, it's a training place. They're going to mess up. There's going to be problems. There's going to have issues. That's fine. It's a process, and it's going to be an opportunity to continue to train them and teach them how you react to that and how you bring God into it. So what we're going to be teaching a little bit about, and some of you guys who were in the service for this, it's PED, Prepare, Event, Debrief.
How many of you guys have heard of PED before? Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of practice with that because PED is awesome, and it's not just about doing it with the children, it's doing it with adults, doing it with each other. We were on the phone with my sister, and she casually mentioned that she's coming up for Thanksgiving. We did not know this, and we were going to have dinner with my parents that night. So what did we do? We PED'd, and we said, so while we're at the dinner with your parents, let's talk about what happens if they talk about Thanksgiving, because we already have Thanksgiving dinner plans. So we don't know how that's going to work. And so that was a great opportunity for us to PED. So going into it, it's not like, oh, hey, your sister's coming up, we're going to have Thanksgiving here. And it's going to be like, what should we do? Like, you don't have to do that, because you prepared ahead of time. And then, in preparing with each other this morning, we had a plan. We had prepared this morning. We were going to bring the boys here, and they were going to hang out with the kids here, and her parents were going to have the girls, and we were going to have Abigail. And then all of a sudden, you find out children are sick, and you can't bring the boys here because you don't want to spread that around. You teach them to share, but that's not nice. You don't share, when you're sick. So we're like, okay, well, let's call my mom. Let's call your parents. Let's find out what we can do here. So even when you PED, sometimes you have to, think on the fly and make changes. But it's helpful. So at least going in, you have a plan. So.
And the debriefing afterwards is big too, because you can prepare ahead of time. But then afterwards, on the way home, you can be like, remember when I said I really wanted to leave at 9? Next time when we go there, can we try to work on that? And then it helps because no, I'm just throwing it. I love you. But try to keep that in mind as well, because then that's helpful, especially for adult relationships, to figure out, how do we do on that? One person might think they did a great job, and then the other person might say, no, that didn't reach my expectation. And having that conversation amongst adults, is very helpful as well. And it kind of makes it a little bit of a natural flow in doing it with your children as well.
All right, so we're going to have an activity because I've been talking too long. So, there's a reason we brought this much candy. All right, so everybody can pick another piece of candy. Don't eat it yet.
Just one? You can pick more than one. Go for it. You can take a handful. I do not want to take. The less of that I take, that. What's that? If you have two, you can eat one now. How about that?
Just took it away.
So while he's handing that out, what we're going to do is we're going to have you guys talk with each other and PED on how to eat a piece of candy. Sometimes with the kids, what we've done before, some children, especially if they're a little bit older, can look at it and be like, we find ourselves preparing for things that might not be super fun. You know, we're going to go in here, and this is how you're going to sit, and this is how you're not going to talk, and this is what you're going to do. And so that's good, and that's necessary because the kids need to know what the expectations are. But by the same token, you're PEDing, and it's like you don't want it always to be not fun. So we will do some things sometimes if we're introducing, at this point it's kind of old hat, but if we're introducing something new, and have it be kind of fun. So it might go a little bit. You want to go ahead?
Sure. All right. So we're going to practice PEDing with a piece of candy. So I have a piece of candy, and I would like to share this candy with you. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this candy to you. You can go ahead and open it. There's 2 pieces in here, so we can rip them in half, and then you can have one. You can share one with me. Okay?
Okay. You can't have this yet. So now I know what the expectations are, that I'm going to rip this, and that I'm going to eventually this will happen. Then I'm going to rip it, and then I give it to you.
Thank you.
All right, and then we enjoy a Twizzler. I don't like Twizzlers. But anyway.
All right. How did you think
that would be our debrief.
Yes. How do you think that went?
No, it's, and then you tell me how I did, and, that was good. We did. You broke it in half, you gave it to me. Then we can have a conversation where I say, I don't care for Twizzlers. Anyway, so that's the idea. It's silly, it's fun, but we'll take the next. Oh, did you want? Well, you can do that. You can talk about Thanksgiving. You can talk about whatever. The candy's just a fun part. We're going to take the next minute or two. If you guys can pair up in groups of 2 or 3, whatever kind of fits. John, you can PED with Dominic on how to eat candy.
I need some help.
Be a mouse on the wall. That'd be fun. You need some more candy. You got to bring the bowl. Whatever it is. So we're going to do that and just kind of get an idea of how to do it afterwards. In another couple minutes, I'll say, okay, it's time to finish up. And then we'll talk about how it went, what some of the thoughts were on it. Was it weird? Was it awkward? What about it was weird or awkward? That kind of thing. All right? Okay.
Can you clarify, because she's never heard PED?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. So PED, it sounds like kind of like, I don't know, we got to have letters for everything now. But PED stands for Prepare, Event, Debrief. So prepare is talking about it ahead of time. Thank you so much. That was supposed to be earlier. Prepare is talking about it ahead of time, saying this is what you're going to do, or this is what we're going to, experience. Particularly with kids is kind of the layout, but it works for older ones as well. This is what you're going to do. This is the expectation. We're going to a restaurant, and when we're at the restaurant, there might be things in the middle of the table, but we're not going to be touching the things in the middle of the table. That kind of thing. Then the E is event. So you actually go and you go to the restaurant. You sit down and you eat and all that stuff. Then the D is debrief. On the way home, you're debriefing and saying how you did. You know what I mean? You guys did a great job not touching the jelly in the middle of the table. That was awesome. Or, do you remember that we talked about not touching the jelly in the middle of the table? We're going to have to work on that a little bit. How do you think you did? Probably not so well, right? We'll work on that a little bit. And so what it does is it brings it back around full circle. So not only are you saying, this is what you need to do, they know ahead of time what the expectation is. Then while it happens, they get a chance to do it. And you're really trying to, you want them to excel. You want them to succeed. So you're giving them every benefit of the doubt to do that. You're saying ahead of time, listen, this is what's expected. And they know that, that you're going to talk about it at the end. Does that make sense? I'm like staring at you, sorry. Anybody else?
It's going to help. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. Okay. I was thinking it was just me around.
No, it's like I said, our family does PED probably awkwardly too much, like all the time. We basically never leave the van before we've talked about where we're going, and even if the kids know it ahead of time. Listen, we're going into church. Remember, when we go into church, they're probably already singing because we're probably 5 minutes late. And so when you walk in, we're going to walk quietly. If they're praying, we're going to stop. And then we'll go, and how do we sit? This is how we sit. That's probably too much, actually, for a PED to do all at once. We do all at once because we done it for a long time. But, focus on one thing, do it, age appropriate, and then see how they do at the end. So does that answer anybody, any more questions about what we're going to do with the PED? No? Okay.
All right, go ahead and you can practice a PED.
Dominic wants the gold. All right, so it's 10:57. We'll give maybe 2 minutes at least. Cecilia, you want to practice the Kansas City?
Think about like I'm giving birth to Ellen.
Not awkwardly as much as we should.
Yeah, multiple ages.
We didn't do any preparing. Just told me how you had it over. I'm not involved in your event.
And then following that is That's funny because I feel like unknowingly it's really helpful to have this. I do this every day. So I'm always like, we're gonna do it, they do it.
So when I think about it, I just am thinking about how to apply it every time I go. So it's for candy.
Unless it's a really problem.
But I want to tell her where she gets it that watching my daughter. And then stand time with watching me get what to work out. Doing it and then get it. And I do that always sit there and even in the last month having later on my husband out.
Having a pattern of doing that with you. Like they don't.
Well, I'll take the parent from every kind of so I'll put them and then the oldest one. So it's more of a reminder for me. Definitely expectations. But I'm glad that schools use it. I mean, for us, usually when schools come to the church, we just never had a fancy title for it. Like there's just, a lot of it was, hey, girl, this is what I want you to do. It's difficult to, you can't have that conversation. Like the child is, and the child doesn't know what they were doing, but they were expected. Okay, now we're like, the 3-year-old's going to be 3, the 3-year-old should be 2. Which they might be like, and it can be like, oh yeah, I need that. Yeah. All right. So let's try to finish up. Last sentence, and then we can come back and kind of debrief on that. All right. So what we just did there was PED. We said this is what we're going to do, and we did it. And so now this is the debrief part. So how'd that go? Was that weird? Was it cool? Can you think of some areas where PED might be helpful? Go for it.
Yeah, I was just saying to Don that when I pick Ellie up from his mother's house, it's a meltdown because Nanny's house is so much fun, and we're grateful for her having her all the time, but we want to try to work on that. So I want to partner with her on it and think about what are these expectations we want to have for when Mommy comes, and how do we prepare her, and how are we all part of that. I think we're starting to do the preparing part, but I think we're missing that debrief part.
Right.
So talking about how we did on the way home, I think will really start to bring that full circle.
Yeah. And we were talking too, we said the debrief is the easiest thing to miss. You know, because life happens and you've moved on, like the event is over.
Right. She's in the car, so we did what we had to do. Yeah.
I debrief with her. Like, that's why I said it's kind of like maybe awkwardly early. Because I'll sit there and say, okay, Abigail, I'm going to change your diaper now. And then after I change your diaper, then we're going to do this. And then she doesn't know what the heck I'm doing. She has no clue what I'm saying. All she knows is I used to be in a comfy bed, and now I'm up here. And I think after this I'm going to eat, and that's exciting. Well, she doesn't know. But the more I do with her now, the more I am training myself into it, so it's a natural flow later. So again, that this milestone is a lot about training us. So if I do it with her, now I have different ages, you know, my children are different ages as well, so they can see me doing it with her, and again, it fulfills even more so their expectation of knowing that that's something that's going to be expected of them, and that's something that's going to happen with them as well. Go ahead.
Something that big with me growing up, my parents never implemented the PED, but I watched them do it between the two of them everywhere we went. And so it's sad that they didn't implement it with us, but I watched that as a model, and it's just crazy now as an adult looking and saying, you know, the debriefing part was so big because it got a chance for us, or now I'm looking at our children, for them to get the stuff off their mind. And like, I didn't really like that licorice. Like, I don't like that, but I'm glad I did it. You know, I didn't really like the peas, but good job. Like, I'm proud of you for trying it. You know, so like, it's growing up now as an adult, I can see how important that is.
Yeah,
it's definitely life changing.
Yeah, and it is life changing, and it is very, very helpful too. We'll go over, and sometimes we'll have meals. And I'll tell the kids, listen, this is not going to be your favorite meal. I know it's not your favorite meal. I'm only going to put a little bit on your plate. I go against what life's not in there.
I know.
I'm like, I'm going to put a little. This is somebody at MOPS said probably doesn't agree with what I was talking about. So, but I'll say, you know, I'm only going to put a little bit on your plate. But we need to know when we go someplace else. I want to make sure that you can eat this. So this is not me trying to be mean. This is a training thing that we'll do every once in a while. And then we'll have something else that they love, as a side. But so that's a preparing and saying, listen. And then afterwards, you know what? I'm so proud of you. I know you don't like that. I have a kid that can't stand hot dogs. What kid doesn't like hot dogs? I have a child that doesn't like hot dogs. But and I'll say, listen, I know you don't like it. But frankly, anywhere you go, that's a birthday party or anything like that, they're going to have hot dogs. So you've got to get used to eating a little bit. And that prepare event debrief has been very helpful because they get used to that, and then it makes things like that. Then now we can still get invited places, that kind of thing. But you guys get the idea. Does anybody have any questions about the PED? Okay. So the other thing we have, those of you that have been, let me see where we are real quick here. Did you have anything to add to that? The PED. What's that? Yeah, I think so. So the other thing about the 4 foundations, the PED is this. We don't have extras for your fridge. Made it look like football. I guess, I don't know. It's kind of fun. But
Pastor needs, that's his,
that's totally, yeah. No, that's his everything is one of these things.
We sat with him once and discussed
It was great. It would be a pie chart.
A couple of years ago, and he drew a circle and...
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I just thought it was like, doesn't that look like a football play or something like that?
Yeah.
But anyway, so we thought we were going to have extra copies of these. We don't. I have one. You're more than welcome to take it if there's somebody who doesn't have it or would like it. But they have them at church as well. So if you go to LFA and somebody else who does not go to LFA wants to take that, you can fight it off, but let them win. Okay. Anyway, so 4 foundations. Who here knows what I'm talking about when I say the 4 foundations? Anybody? Okay. So what we had is we had planned on saying, we could pick one if there was one that you guys want to touch base on. It's not realistic to say we'll be able to go through all 4 of them, at least not well in the time frame that we have. However, if there's one that you guys want to kind of explore, talk about, figure it out, if you wanted to come up with it. Otherwise, I could, I could talk about how they all kind of melt together, which I'll do at the end anyway. But is there one that there's the 4 foundations? What they are is there's faith talks, which the quick rundown is faith talks is intentionally incorporating with your children discussion that has to do with scripture or something that is God-centered discussion for the purpose of training. Prayer times is pretty self-explanatory. It's times that you pray. Like that. But it's intentional times that you sit down and say, okay, we're going to pray together for this or that. Live on mission is when you go through and you are intentionally doing something that doesn't benefit you but benefits somebody else. So you're going. It can be local. It can be further away. So that's live on mission. And then there's God sightings, which is different parts throughout the day where you see God doing something, and you just basically say, God, you're awesome. I saw that, and thanks so much. And you touch base with your kids about it, and that's a God sighting. So that's the super fast, quick rundown of it. Are there any 4 of those that you guys would want to explore a little further, or you want to touch base on? No.
I would throw out faith talks.
Yeah. The faith talks. Very cool. So it's the faith talk one. Does anybody here want to talk about different ways that they do faith talks? And I don't want to talk I can, but believe me, I can yak. But that doesn't mean that's a good thing. Got it. Oh, we're half and half. Oh, it was the first one. Look at that.
So I will, since we don't actually sit down together yet and read the Bible a verse or two and implement that in our lives with our children. Most of our children are older, from 10 to 16. But another way that we use faith talks is I have put verses around the house, and then we have a verse of the week that I write on the board that the children are to memorize. And I have notes in each of their bathrooms, or their bedrooms for them to have God time to pray and build a relationship with God. But we're not using it in a sense like we're pulling out the Bible together. I read the Bible myself every day, or my husband, but as a family we do. But
better than I don't always get
sense,
it to it every
we're
day.
kind of incorporating His Word just in other ways.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. Anybody else have any ideas as to things that they incorporate in their house right now?
Well, we do in our house if we don't have any kids. It's just the 2 of us. We try to find a place where we're both paying attention, and we're both together, and we try to do it when we're alone. Now that we don't have kids, but when we have kids, we try to also incorporate it at the dinner table. And try to talk about it, and we try to be there, not just physically, but with our mind also. And we did trial and error trying to find out when both of us are paying attention. And for him, it's right before bedtime. So I had to get used to that a little bit, because when I go to bed, I want to sleep. It's kind of finding where everybody's there and kind of training them to pay attention and to, okay, we're going to talk about the day. We're going to talk about the God stories. We're going to talk about the verse, whatever.
Yeah. No, very cool. And that's huge, because once people, a lot of times, I know we did, say, well, we'll incorporate that once we have children. We'll incorporate that. When you have kids, am I right? The world is changing. Every aspect of your world has changed. Right, Abby? Right, guys? Every aspect of your world has changed. And so the more you can have already established as a pattern in your household, the better. Because it's harder to incorporate new things. You have enough stuff that's new. You can't incorporate it at a time. That's very cool. Go ahead.
I like to write mine down. Obviously, Amelia's only 8 months old, so I can't really sit down and explain it to her. I mean, we can, but it's not going anywhere. Once in a while I'll get this whoa, this. I mean, it's kind of going into God sightings too. They kind of God sightings and
why the puzzle pieces.
Yeah, definitely. They interact with each other very much. And I like to write stuff down. Even sometimes I love it so much that I put it on Facebook. I'm like, this is what just a couple days ago I just said, I'm reminded that my daughter's adopted and she doesn't look like me. Like, she doesn't look like me. But I'm humbly reminded every day that she's not mine.
Yeah.
Like, she is not mine. You know, and I put that on Facebook. I'm like, it's so good, like, those little reminders.
Yeah.
And I want her to know that, you know, that when she starts questioning, why don't I look like you, Mommy? You know, and when she starts learning her identity, and it's not in her color of her skin, her hair, you know. So,
No,
I
that's
love
very
writing
cool.
it down.
No, that's very cool. Very cool. Thanks for that. And that is helpful because then you can go back and look later. One of the things Jonathan and I have done in the past is write those things down so that later on when you feel like, you know, you're about to explode, you can go back and look and be like, okay, God, you know, you are working in here. So Faith Talks, for those that may not have understanding or have heard Nate talk about this before, it's taking time to read God's Word or talk about how God's Word applies in following Jesus in a situation or area of life. So it's not necessarily, you know, read the Bible and pray. You know what I mean? That's like the classic church answer, right? The answer to everything is Jesus, pray, the Bible. Like those are, you say that, it's like, you know, multiple choice where you always circle C, like that kind of thing. Okay? But reality is, if we want to incorporate in our marriages, in our children, in our grandkids, in whatever next generations around us, if we want to pass this on, we want to say God is in everything. Jesus has something to say about about anything that you're going through. And so the more we have a faith talk about that, the better. So that's kind of what it is. It's taking time to read God's Word. You know, don't just say the Bible says, but show them where.
Right.
You know what I mean? Show them where it says. Open it up. Let them get used to seeing you open it up. You know, get used with each other to opening it up and looking. And each of these things have what we call formal and informal. I never really liked those words, but that's what it says. So each of these foundations has what's called formal and informal. Formal is when you're planning on it. You're saying, you know, this is an intentional time we have set aside. We're going to do this. Informal is just when life happens. That's informal. Okay. So one of the things that we have that's formal. Did you want to talk about?
Yeah. So
I've been yakking a lot.
So our formal version, or our planned time for Faith Talks, is that before bed, you know, we get pajamas on, we brush our teeth, and then before bed we all sit down and we read from the Bible. And what we've been personally working on for our family is reading through the entire Bible. So we've gone through the New Testament and we're currently in Ezra in the Old Testament. Leviticus and Numbers are going to be hard. Deuteronomy can be hard.
I'm going to make the cake when we finish those.
But it's worth it because the children then see, like, all this stuff's in the Bible. So, you know, they hear about, you know, different people and they're like, how do they know how this person's related to that person? Because they kept it all written down. Like just in Ezra, they're talking about how Ezra was the son of this person, this person, this person, and trace it all the way back to Aaron, the high priest. And it's like, how do they know all this stuff? They wrote it down. Like, they made sure they wrote all this stuff down. And we see that in the Bible. So, you know, it's really nice for them to be able to know that. And that's just our planned faith talk, is that we're going to sit down and we're going to read the Bible, and that's how it's going to go.
And they get upset if it's missed. Like, they will say, well, we didn't have Bible account time. Like, you know, come on, let's go. And they're not, it's not like maybe they are, maybe they're just really good at fooling me. But it doesn't seem like they're trying to get out of going to bed. They look forward to it, you know. And so that's, you know, and that's a training thing too. We have chairs that look like the ones in church, so they practice sitting still and all that kind of stuff. But it's
a process.
And it is a process. And it is ugly sometimes. Sometimes the formal faith talks, you have this cute little perfect world where you expect it to go such a way. And there's times when we're sitting in there and my kids are cracking up about somebody who farted, and they think that is the best time, when I was planning on you to have a deep spiritual moment because this was big and God was going to speak into your life and you were going to remember it when you're 112 because this moment was going to be huge and you're too busy cracking up. You know what I mean? And that happens, and that's fine. You are not, when we had this when I was a kid and in the morning with my parents, and so this was kind of a tradition that we've continued on. But I couldn't tell you a single thing my dad said on any particular one of these Bible accounts. He called them something else, but I couldn't tell you a single one. But I know we did it every morning. I know that it was God incorporated every morning. I know it was a family time togetherness. It was super rich, super special. even though I couldn't tell you anything specific. So if you're laughing together as a family and that's part of it, then let it be part of it. You can start again the next day. You know, finish what you're doing, but keep on going. And that's the formal part. Does that make sense? Yeah. The informal part is just when life happens and you see something and you're like, I think that reminds me of something I read in Scripture before. Or that reminds me of whatever. And if time allows, let's look that up real quick. Or I can't remember that passage. I'm terrible at remembering references for stuff. I'll have a verse memorized, but I forget where it is. And so I'm so thankful for the back of the Bible where you can look up keywords. I'm grateful for that. And then you can do that with your kids, and then they get used to that kind of thing. So that's the informal. It's really being open to the Holy Spirit as far as saying, listen, do me a favor, don't let me get too busy. Prompt me when something's going on that we can have an informal faith talk. And again, it incorporates to your children that this is something that happens everyday life all the time, and Jesus is in the real world.
And one of the struggles too with the spur of the moment faith talks is that your kids will choose the worst time to bring it up.
That's accurate.
Like, we'll be in the middle of trying to get out the door, and that'll be when somebody's like, why do we go to church? It's like, that is a very long, complicated answer, but all right, let's go. And setting us, might be a couple minutes late, might, whatever, but, or take that time to spend it in the car and talk to them about it, but taking that time to go ahead and have that faith talk with them, so that they understand that it is important, that you're willing to talk about it, and that it's okay to bring it up as a subject, and it will be the worst time.
Yes, and I'm glad that you said that too, because the car is frankly where we have probably most of our informal faith talks, because they're not going anywhere. They're stuck. There's trees outside, I guess, as you're driving, but there's not a whole lot of distractions. Like, you have that time to talk with your child. If there's a DVD player in your car, you can turn it off and talk to each other or something like that. They're not going anywhere. So you have a captive audience. There's a lot of rich discussion that can happen during those things. So that's faith talks. That's kind of how we can do it. Again, with the formal and informal, as you look through your notes, I know if you're like me, like when you go to something like this, they hand you 100 pieces of paper, and then you may have every intention of actually looking at it, and then life happens, and it either ends up in the trash now or in a couple of days. And I hear you, and I've been there. But I really would encourage you to sit down at a time when you have time to read it over. After if you have children after they go to bed, or during the times when he's awake, or whatever. But I would really encourage you to sit down and look through some of that stuff and see how it goes. It's 11:30, right?
11:25.
11:25. We got 5 minutes.
Want to do
Yeah, real quick, and then we'll have time for questions. How they work together, it's neat. If you look at these things, it's a puzzle piece. And one of the things is it's not accident. It's not by Jamie actually put this together, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thought it was really cool how she made it a puzzle piece on there, because they really do, as you touched on, they really do go together. Mm-hmm. I was thinking of a Live on Mission thing that we did with the church. Well, I didn't put it together, but we did it with the church, where we went out to a park and we cleaned up a park. And so that's obviously the Live on Mission, is that you're going to go out and clean up a park, right? It's formal, it's planned. And beforehand, we prayed as a family and then as a big group that we would run into some people and be able to have some conversation. So that was our prayer time over that. In doing that, we went and we had we cleaned up the park and all that, and afterwards we had these snacks we were handing out. We were able to touch base with some of these people, and it was really cool because we were able to, what are you doing here? And we said, oh, well, we're just cleaning up the park, would you like some drinks, and it's hot out, would you like some, Cheetos or whatever it was, because super nutritional Cheetos. And they, we were able to have a faith talk with them about well, we're just doing this because God says that it's not all about us. And so we're here to kind of help you out. We didn't open up the bang them over the head with the Bible anywhere or whatever, but we had a little faith talk with them. And afterwards, we got together as a family and talked about the God sighting that was. Mm-hmm. Did you see that we prayed for that? And did you see how God came through on that? Did you see how cool that was? We were just hanging out so you guys could actually play at the park you just cleaned up. Mm-hmm. But in that, God worked and God did all these things. So they all were incorporated, and they all work together in that. And frankly, in that was also PED, where we say, this is what we're going to do. Did you see how God works? So it does kind of all flow together in that realm. And so one of the big things, I love how, sometimes the Bible can seem overwhelming. Sometimes all these things we're supposed to do, and it can just seem overwhelming. Our kids are growing before our eyes, and we're like, oh my goodness, I blinked, and you're 2 months old. When did that happen? Or I blinked, and you're, what did you say, 16 is the oldest? And, and so because of that, this whole milestone thing is about being intentional about how we're raising our kids, because they're going to grow up either way. And being intentional about how we do it, and these different things that the church has that we can put together. So I want to we have another few minutes. Are there any questions about what we've talked about? We didn't touch on baby dedication, that's in there. We didn't touch on couch time, which is when adults have time to just talk about your heart and say what's going on in your world, how are you feeling? That these are all very, very important things. But are there any questions about any of that or any of what we went over? Yeah.
So our baby is now almost 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right, you blinked, right?
She has not been dedicated, and we've only just recently started coming to LFA. So I guess I just want to learn more about that. Would that be super awkward to have a 3-year-old?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
People have come and have dedicated teenagers, and not at all. And some people come and dedicate multiple kids at once. If they've never done it before. There is more on the back, and we can certainly feel free to talk about it. But the quick version is like Abby was talking about our children, whether they're adopted, whether they look like us, whether they don't, are not ours. And that's something that what we tell our kids at the end of every night. We say, Mommy loves you, Daddy loves you. We go through all the kids, they love you, and then we say, but Jesus loves you even more. And that's something that every night we say it. And it's kind of like that. What was it? The Waltons. Am I going on all that? Listen, that was before my time. I'm not that old, but I've heard it. But the idea is to incorporate to them and us that you're not ours. And so the dedication. In fact, the church calls it parent-child dedication. I'm not sure if the paper still says baby or not. It does say baby.
But they do have a large focus on the parent, in that it is also you saying that you are going to be the one to raise this child and to teach them about God, and so it really has more of a focus on the parent as part of the dedication than it is, and just recognizing that this child is God's.
And
so
the church
age isn't a factor.
Yeah, no, not at all. And the church puts it's when the process is this: if you decide you wanted to dedicate your child, then you talk to Katie Wilson. Yeah, you can touch base with Sharon. She can point you to it as well. And her email address is on the bottom of that as well. But you touch base with Katie Wilson. She's just the contact. She's the go-between. And you tell her which pastor you want. Then that pastor will touch base with you. And then after that, then they'll have the baby dedication Sunday. But it's not like they have a line. Okay, we give you the Jesus. That's it. Like they'll talk to you about like generational patterns, so that they know specifically how to pray for your child, things that you want to change. So it's kind of cool with that. I've seen all different kinds of ways that it's done, but that's the process. That's like the super
that's
version.
helpful.
Thank you. Jesus was dedicated when he was taken back. Seriously, like if it's okay, if they want Jesus to do it, then I probably should pay attention. What's that?
12 at the time?
I don't know, I have to reread it. I just copied and pasted because we weren't going to talk about that, remember? Just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but there's, he went and they dedicated him to the Lord, as was customary. But if they're going to do it with Jesus, it's something to look into for us. Mm-hmm. Anything else about any of those things?
I didn't see couch time in here. I remember it.
I think it's called Share Your Heart.
Oh, okay.
Couch time is a Sharonism. We have Nateisms, we have Gregisms. Couch time is a Sharonism. I don't think she called it couch time. We changed that, I think, a couple years ago. But couch time, basically, they call it that because, in premarital, I think they talk about couch time a fair amount too. But they'll say you basically you and your spouse sit down and just say, here's how I'm feeling. Here's what my day looked like. here's what I anticipate. You talk about expectations. You just kind of share your heart. Here's what I'm thinking.
Communication.
Yeah, it is communication, but it's
Yeah, when your
communication
lives
about
are
all
busy,
different stuff.
you have little kids.
Yeah,
Your husband works long hours, so you
yeah, and it's easy to
forget to
lose
say
that.
hi to each other.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's very true. So you can call it whatever you want. That's true. It's not called. I think we did change the couch time in there.
And it's covered in more detail during the actual class.
I can find out where it actually is to show it to you as well. Does anybody else have any other questions before we pray?
All right.
Does this stuff make sense? Do you feel like you were talked at the whole time? Good, that's good. Even if you're just nodding to make me feel better, thanks for that. I'm alright with that, frankly. I'll look at it after we pray. And see if I can find out where it is.
Let's pray, and then we have, I think it's a 15-minute break before the next milestone. God, thank you so much for this time. God, that it would just be helpful, that it would just encourage, and just be a nugget to take home and just continue to improve and work on our process of parenting and influencing the next generation. We love you, God. I just pray that we will have a great rest of the day. Amen.
Amen.